Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at life lessons, those kind of valuable insights we pick up as we go through life. And you sent in this great article by Saskia Friedrich called 10 Eye-Opening Life Lessons that shaped me.
Oh, yeah, Saskia is great.
Yeah, she's a mom blogger and freelance writer. And I love that combination, so we'll see what she's learned over the years and see if maybe some of those nuggets of wisdom might resonate with you too.
Yeah, it's always so fascinating to me how someone can kind of distill years of life experience, into these key takeaways. Like, we're going to unpack each of those lessons, but I'm also really curious to see how they connect to some bigger ideas about, like, personal growth and well-being, that kind of thing.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's jump right in, starting with Saskia's first lesson. Not everyone cares about you the way you care about them. And I know that sounds a bit harsh maybe at first,
Right.
but she talks about always being the one who reaches out to friends, the one putting in the effort to keep those connections alive.
Yeah, and I think that's something that a lot of us can relate to. We pour so much energy into our relationships, hoping for that same energy in return, but sometimes it's just not there.
Right, and for Saskia, she kind of realized this when she stopped being the initiator, and it did shrink her social circle, but it helped her see who genuinely valued her.
Mm.
It's like decluttering, but for your relationships.
Exactly. And, if we kind of connect this back to the bigger picture, it's really about setting healthy boundaries in our relationships. It's not about being selfish. It's just about recognizing where our energy is reciprocated and valued.
Yeah, for sure. It's a good reminder that sometimes letting go can actually be a step forward. Okay, so moving on to lesson 2. There are no mistakes. Saskia believes that every choice she made felt right at the time, based on what she knew then.
That's interesting. It makes you wonder, like, what if we look back on our lives not through the lens of mistakes, but as a collection of, learning experiences, each choice, even the ones that maybe didn't turn out as planned, added to our growth and brought us to where we are today.
Such a refreshing perspective, right? It kind of takes the pressure off of striving for this impossible standard of perfection.
Hmm.
And speaking of stepping outside of those self-imposed limitations, Saskia's third lesson is your comfort zone is your prison.
Ah, yes, the comfort zone. It's so familiar, it's safe, but it can totally stifle our potential. And I love that Saskia shares some really cool personal stories here, like moving to different countries and trying out all sorts of jobs.
Even farm work, she mentions.
Yeah, farm work, not exactly what you'd expect from a writer and blogger,
Not
right?
at all.
But that's exactly the point. Growth often happens when we push past those boundaries, step into the unknown. It can be scary, of course, but those are often the moments where we discover hidden strengths and build resilience we never knew we had. I think about it like building a muscle. The more we kind of push ourselves, the stronger we become.
I love that analogy.
Okay.
Okay, moving on to lesson 4. Protect your inner peace. Saskia really emphasizes putting your own feelings and values first, even ahead of what other people think.
So crucial, right? Especially in our hyper-connected world where we're just bombarded with information and opinions constantly. It's about being really intentional about what we let in, setting boundaries, and making choices that align with what truly matters to us. And, Saskia even talks about limiting her social media time to protect her mental well-being.
Right. Right, and that resonates with me so much. It's so easy to get sucked into that comparison game on
Hmm.
social media and lose sight of our own values and priorities. So how can we be more mindful about protecting our inner peace in a world that's constantly, vying for our attention?
Hmm. That's a great question, and it actually ties in perfectly with Saskia's next lesson, Don't Judge Others. It's this reminder that we so rarely see the full picture of someone's life. We never know what struggles people are facing beneath the surface.
Yeah, Saskia encourages us to treat everyone with respect because appearances can be deceiving. And it reminds me of that saying, be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle.
Exactly. Cultivating empathy and understanding not only makes us better individuals, but it also opens the door for more genuine connections with the people around us. It allows us to move through the world with a sense of compassion and openness, which ultimately contributes to a more peaceful existence, both internally and within our communities.
Absolutely. Okay, so this next lesson, I think, is one that we could all use a little more of in our lives. Learn to love the process, not just the end goal.
Ooh, that's a good one. It's so easy to get fixated on, achieving goals, reaching those milestones. But what if the real joy is in the journey itself? Embracing those challenges, celebrating those small wins, and even appreciating the stumbles along the way.
Saskia believes that's where true fulfillment lies. It's about finding satisfaction in the present moment rather than constantly chasing some future outcome. It reminds me of saying enjoy the journey, not just the destination.
Yes, exactly. It's about shifting our perspective from a place of striving to a place of appreciation, for the process itself.
So good. Okay, this next lesson is a bit of a list, but it's packed with goodness. Saskia's seventh lesson is all about maintaining healthy habits.
And she gives us a whole bunch of them. Self-care, clean eating, daily movement, work-life balance, single tasking, setting boundaries, prioritizing sleep, mental health, taking breaks, and reducing alcohol intake. It's quite a list.
Yeah, it really shows that healthy habits aren't just about physical health. They're woven into every aspect of our well-being. And it's not about being perfect. It's about making conscious choices that support our overall health and happiness, right?
Exactly. They're investments in our long-term well-being and resilience, and those small, consistent choices add up over time.
Speaking of consistency, Lesson 8 is all about persistence is key. Saskia advises us to stick with our passions and create routines that support consistent progress.
She's a huge believer in the power of small daily actions that accumulate over time. It's not about making those giant leaps, but about consistently moving forward, even if it's just one small step at a time.
And, when we combine that persistence with a clear vision of where we want to go, it can lead to some pretty amazing achievements.
It's like that saying, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
All right, on to Lesson 9. This one's a bit of a call to action. You're the master of your life.
Ooh, love this one. It goes back to that idea of taking ownership of our happiness, shifting from blaming external circumstances or other people to recognizing that we actually have the power to shape our own lives, even amidst challenges.
And Saskia has this great motto for this: love it, change it, or leave it. So simple, yet so powerful.
It really is. It's about recognizing that we always have choices, even when those choices require courage and effort.
So instead of complaining or feeling stuck,
Yeah.
we can actively choose to love what is, change what we can, or move on from situations that don't serve us. It's empowering to realize we have that agency.
And it's not about being reckless or impulsive. It's about thoughtfully evaluating our options and making choices that align with our values and our goals.
Okay, that brings us to Saskia's final lesson. Be grateful.
This one's all about appreciating what we already have, even while we're striving for more. She emphasizes gratitude for the basics, shelter, food, clean water, peace, things that many people around the world don't have access to. It's a reminder to be humble and to find joy in the simple things.
Such a wise perspective. So we've covered a lot of ground here. What stands out to you so far?
It's remarkable how Saskia's lessons, while being drawn from her personal journey, they touch on these universal themes of human experience: the need for connection, the desire for growth, the importance of self-awareness, and the power of gratitude. These are things that we all grapple with regardless of our individual paths.
Absolutely. It's almost like she's giving us this roadmap for navigating the complexities of life and cultivating a deeper sense of meaning and purpose.
And what's really striking to me is her emphasis on personal responsibility. In several lessons, she talks about taking ownership of our choices, our happiness, and ultimately shaping the direction of our lives.
It's that shift right from a passive mindset to an empowered one. Instead of saying, this is happening to me, it becomes, what can I do about this?
Yeah.
And that can be incredibly liberating.
It is. It leads to a more fulfilling and authentic life where we're actively engaged in creating the reality that we desire.
Well said. Okay, so we've covered the first 10 life lessons from Saskia's article. Now let's dive a little deeper into some of the themes that have emerged and explore how we can apply these lessons to our own lives.
It's really interesting how the same lesson, can resonate so differently with each of us depending on our own experiences and where we are in our own journeys. I think what really stood out to me about Saskia's insights is this emphasis on shifting from being passive to taking an active role in shaping our lives.
Yeah, you're right. That theme of personal responsibility runs through so many of her lessons. It's like she's saying, hey, you have more control than you think.
Exactly. And it's so empowering when you start to view challenges not as roadblocks, but as opportunities for growth and learning,
Yeah. One lesson that really resonated with me, and maybe this is because I'm trying to be more mindful these days, but was the one about protecting your inner peace.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get swept up in the chaos of the world,
Yeah.
especially with this constant influx of information and opinions we're exposed to.
It's true. And that constant input can really take a toll on our well-being if we don't create some space for ourselves, Saskia's suggestion of limiting social media time, for example, is something that a lot of people find helpful for protecting their mental and emotional space.
Right. It's like creating a sanctuary for your mind,
Yeah.
a place where you can reconnect with yourself and recharge, but But it takes effort, doesn't it? It's not something that just happens automatically.
You're absolutely right. It's an ongoing practice, not a destination. It requires us to be mindful of what we're consuming, the company we keep, the environments we surround ourselves with.
And it's not selfish to prioritize our own well-being. In fact, it's essential if we want to show up fully for ourselves and for the people we care about.
I think that's a really important point. We often feel guilty for taking time for ourselves, but self-care is not a luxury, it's a necessity.
So true. Saskia's lesson on gratitude is another one that I find myself coming back to again and again. It's so easy to get caught up in that what's next mentality, always
Yeah.
striving for more, that we forget to appreciate the good things we already have.
Yes, and research actually shows that practicing gratitude has tangible benefits. It can boost our happiness, reduce stress, improve our relationships, and even have positive effects on our physical health.
It's amazing how such a simple practice can have such a profound impact on our lives. It's a reminder that happiness is not always about acquiring more, but about appreciating what we already possess.
And it's not about denying the challenges or pretending that everything is perfect. It's about choosing to focus on the positive, even in the midst of difficulties.
One of the things I appreciate about Saskia's approach is that she presents these lessons not as rigid rules, but as insights gained from her own experiences, which makes them feel so much more relatable and attainable.
I agree. It's not about trying to replicate someone else's journey, but about extracting the wisdom that resonates with us and integrating it into our own unique lives.
And that might look different for everyone. What resonates with one person might not resonate with another, and that's okay. It's
Yeah.
about finding what works for us as individuals.
Exactly. It's a process of self-discovery and experimentation. And, as we learn and grow, our understanding of these lessons may evolve as well.
Saskia's piece offers so much to think about, from embracing the discomfort of stepping outside our comfort zones to prioritizing our inner peace and cultivating gratitude. These lessons really do offer a roadmap for creating a more meaningful and fulfilling life.
Absolutely. And as we wrap up our deep dive into Saskia's 10 life lessons, I think it's worth asking ourselves which lesson spoke to us the most and why, and more importantly, how can we take action based on those insights?
That's a great question, because it's not just about passively absorbing information. It's about applying these lessons to our own lives and seeing what positive changes we can create. It's interesting, isn't it, how these life lessons, they kind of pop up in unexpected places.
Yeah.
Like we might learn from mentors or from books, or even just those tough moments that force us to kind of reevaluate things.
It's so true. And it's fascinating how the same lesson can hit different people in totally different ways. It all depends on our own unique experiences and where we are in our own journeys.
Thinking back to Saskia's piece, I'm struck by how much she emphasizes that growth often happens outside of our comfort zones.
Yeah, such a good point.
Whether it's trying something new or having those tough conversations or taking a leap of faith in our careers, it's in those moments of discomfort that we really stretch and expand as people.
Absolute.
I love that example she gave about moving to different countries and trying all those different jobs, even farm work.
Oh, yeah.
It just shows that we're capable of so much more than we think sometimes.
Totally. And it really highlights the importance of embracing curiosity, being open to those new experiences. When we start to view challenges as chances to learn and grow, we're less likely to let fear or self-doubt hold us back.
I think that ties in nicely with that lesson about persistence too.
Yeah.
It's about showing up consistently even when things get tough, trusting that those small steps will eventually lead to something much bigger.
Yeah, it's about cultivating that inner grit, that determination that helps us overcome obstacles and achieve our goals. It's not always easy, but the payoff can be so rewarding.
All right, so as we wrap up this deep dive into Saskia's 10 life lessons, let's leave our listeners with a final thought-provoking question. If you could add an 11th life lesson to this list, based on your own experiences, what would it be?
Oh, that's a great question. It invites us to reflect on the wisdom that we've gained from our own unique journeys and what we might share with others.
We'd love to hear your 11th life lesson. Share it with us on social media or on our website. And until next time, keep diving deep and keep learning.